Yu-Gi-Oh! An incredibly complex card game with tens of thousands of cards. However, what if each set was separated from the rest of the massive card pool and your choices when building a deck were extremely limited? In this series, in order to learn Yu-Gi-Oh! From the ground up, I will be embarking on an adventure through the history of the card game with Jeexx. In each episode, we will have access to all the cards in a select product, and using only the cards in that product, both of us will build a deck before playing a best of 3 match to determine the winner of the episode. We will move in a chronological order in the series, and with each new episode we will forget the cards of the past in order to experience something brand new. We hope you enjoyed this adventure through Yu-Gi-Oh! And its evolution with us. Welcome to the historic Yu-Gi-Oh! Learning journey. What is up, ladies and fellas, and welcome to another episode of Historic Yu-Gi-Oh! Learning Journey, and this time it is time for Shadow of Infinity. And let me just say, this is not a very good set, but as always, let's just go through the set and see what it has in it and see what we can then do with it. So right off the bat, this set introduces the Sacred Beasts: Uriel, Lord of Searing Flames, Hammond, Lord of Striking Thunder, and Raviel, Lord of Phantasm. So these are essentially, as you can see from the designs, like sort of redesigns of the original 3 God cards. Some of them, like Uriel, can actually find a niche in something like a ninja deck. Uriel is actually pretty cool, but they are not very good. They are still 3 tribute monsters. Uriel has to be summoned by tributing 3 face-up traps you control. Hammond has to be tributed with 3 face-up continuous spells, and Raviel, Lord of Phantasm, just needs 3 monsters, but those monsters have to specifically be fiends, so they are very specific to bring out on the field. I don't think they are going to be relevant. Uriel just gets power by all your continuous traps in your grave, and you can target a set spell trap your opponent controls. And you can pop it at spell speed 4 in your turn, though. Then Hammond deals burn damage to your opponent when it destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the grave, and when it's in defense position, it is the only card that can be targeted by attacks. And Raviel, every time your opponent normal summons a monster, you get a token, but the token cannot attack, and then you contribute monsters to boost Raviel's attack until the end of the turn. So pretty underwhelming effects for what they need to be brought out, but and we need to wait for the Sacred Beast support for a long time. This set came out in 2006, so it's, I think, over 10 years until they actually get some relevant support. Neo Bubbleman, you have to send Metamorphosis and E-Hero Bubbleman to the grave to summon it. It's not worth it. It just lets us obviously play Bubbleman and Metamorphosis in the set. Hero Kid, some Swarming, and then we actually can play Cyber Dragon again because of a card that actually it's there. So Proto Cyber Dragon mentions Cyber Dragon by name, so we are allowed to play the original Cyber Dragon. And then we also have 2 interesting versions of it. Cyber Barrier Dragon is 2800 defense, which, as you'll see later on, is incredibly big in this set and very difficult to beat over. And Cyber Laser Dragon is here to essentially pop Cyber Barrier Dragon, or pop something that you can't beat over otherwise. So they bring in a pretty interesting sort of rock paper scissors into the format. Some irrelevant Ancient Gears. Adhesive Explosive is interesting. If it gets swung when it was in face and defense position, it gets equipped to the attacking monster, and then the attacking monster pops during your opponent's next standby phase. Then we have just a bunch of whatever. Disciple of the Forbidden Spell is actually a very good level 4. When it's summoned, you declare monster card attributes equal to the number of this monster's names in your grave, and when this card attacks a monster that has the attribute that you declared, you pop the monster with the effect without a damage calculation. And there are a couple of very relevant attributes in this set, mostly being light and earth, which means if you already have 2 of this in your grave, you can declare both and actually get some pretty good mileage out of it. Then we get to probably the biggest archetype in the set, displaying insects. They are not an archetype here, but there's a lot of cards that give you payouts for it. Most of these cards, like Parasitic Tiki, Silent Insect, are very bad. Cookie Pawn, when it's destroyed by battle lines into a graveyard, you can add an insect monster with 1500 less attack from your deck to your hand. Sounds obviously very good, but as you'll see when we go through the insects, everything Cookie Pawn can add apart from itself is not very good. Chainsaw Insect is very interesting. It's a 2400 attack beat stick. That's a level 4, so it can be tribute summoned, but when it battles, at the end of the damage step, your opponent draws a card. So if it attacks or is attacked, which I think was the old text on it, then your opponent gets to draw. But it's still very good to get a 2400 beater on the field without having to tribute. Anteater Eating Ant, it's a mouthful, can only be special summoned by sending 2 spells or traps you control to the grave, not from your hand, and then you can pop a spell traps your opponent controls once per turn, and if you do, it cannot attack. So pretty gimmicky to bring out, especially when you can see the back row lineup in the set, but interesting. Saber Beetle is a very simple tribute summon, 1 tribute monster with 2400 attack, and it deals piercing battle damage. And then the big reason why you would want to be playing insects this set is Doom Dozer, a level 8 2800 attack beater which can only be special summoned from your hand by banishing 2 insect monsters from your grave. And whenever it inflicts battle damage, you mill a card from your opponent's deck. 3/4 Frog, obviously very notorious card. If you control no spells or traps, and you do not control 3 from during your standby phase, you summon it from the grave. And I realize I'm basically talking about every single card, so apologies, but no worries. This is basically where the interesting cards end. Sandmoth is, I think, still worth talking about, mostly for the fact that why is it a rock and not an insect, especially in this set, but it's a 2000 defense position, sorry. It's a 2000 defense monster, which makes it obviously still very valuable, and when it's in face-up defense position and it's destroyed and sent to the grave, obviously by an effect, then you spell summon it from the grave and instead it becomes a 2000 attack beater, so very interesting. Ruin Queen of Oblivion, Demise King of Armageddon, also very interesting. Ruin can attack twice when it destroys a monster, and Demise, being the much better one, is 100 attack more, and you can simply pay 2000 and you pop every other card on the field except for Demise. So, and very interesting is it's a level 8, which means you could, with a single Doom Dozer, you could actually go into Demise with the End of the World. And then we get to the spell trap lineup. There's not a lot of good stuff here. So we'll get through this pretty easily. A Cyclone Boomerang is actually very good because it makes Wildheart a 2000 attack beater. Obviously we can play Wildheart because it mentioned it by name. And when the monster that this is equipped to, meaning Wildheart, is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the grave, you pop all spells and traps on the field, and then your opponent takes 100 burn damage for each. And obviously a 2k beater being destroyed by card effects rather than attacks is pretty likely, but obviously in this set we have stuff like Chainsaw Insect that can just beat over it. Symbol of Heritage essentially works as a premature burial, but you need to have 3 monster cards with the same name in your graveyard first, and then you spell summon and equip it with this card. End of the World is the ritual for Demise and Ruin, and it is extremely simple. It has basically nothing. It's just basic from your hand or from your field. It's just your castle is actually pretty decent, but unfortunately there's nothing here that allows us to play Golem. Then for the traps, we obviously have we also had here obviously Cyber Laser Dragon with Photon Generator unit. Here we have Attack Reflector unit to summon Cyber Barrier Dragon. Damage Condenser is actually very good. When you take battle damage, you discard a card and you special summon a monster from your deck with attack less than or equal to the battle damage you took in attack position. So a way to obviously get cards directly from your deck is insane. And then what I would argue is the best card in the set, Karma Cut, is a trap where you discard a card and target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and you banish it, and then as well banish all the cards with its name in your opponent's grave. So an incredibly good trap to deal with. deal with monsters. And again, Goblin of the Frying Pan and Malfunction are interesting. They both pay 500 to negate the activation of spell and trap, respectively, but Goblin of the Frying Pan returns it to their owner's hand, and Malfunction returns it to its original position, so they don't get rid of them. Think of like this as a very bad red reboot, essentially, is the best way to describe it. But yeah, that was Shadow of Infinity. I would argue this is a much less powerful set than what we played lately, but let's see what we cooked up with it. So I will see you all in the deck building section.
So yeah, Shadow of Infinity. Shadow of Infinity is a very underpowered set. The only actual good cards in it are arguably Cyber Barrier Dragon, Doomdozer, Chainsaw Insect, and the 2 rituals. But outside of that, the set is kind of dog shit. Like, outside of the good cards in it, you don't have anything that actually works with the good cards. And arguably, the good cards that are strongest aren't even supported by the set itself. So you can't get Cyber Dragons normally in this, So yeah. But for me, this set is actually, we do have Karma Card. Karma Card is fairly powerful. It's probably one of the strongest removal cards you could have at this point in the game. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. As for me, this set has like significance in terms of how would you say this? Like sentimental value. Let's say that, and that's because this is the first set that I ever played. Like, when I said before that this is the era of Yu-Gi-Oh! That I started playing in, this is the first set that I ever bought. I have Disciple of the Forbidden Spell somewhere. I have Sandmoth somewhere. I have Chainsaw Insect. I have an Ultimate Rare Adhesive Explosive and Cyber Laser Dragon somewhere. Like, and I have a bunch of these because I have Malfunctions, I have Super Junior Confrontations, I have Attack Reflector units, and Photon Generator units. This set is just... It's not quite nostalgic because I never actually got to play the game during this. But I did purchase my first 2 cards during this era, or during this set. And one of my favorite cards from this set is a card called DD Guide. Oh, sorry. That was so strip. DD Guide, which is probably the worst Yu-Gi-Oh card I've ever seen. Like, this card is legitimately one of the worst cards. When this card is normal summoned, give control of it to your opponent. During each player's end phase, your opponent, that being you now because you gave control of this away, selects 1 card from the graveyard of this card's controller and removes it from play. So you give them a 1.4k like body that they can use for anything they want, and you get to banish 1 card from the graveyard. maybe don't do this again, okay? But this is one of my favorite cards in terms of, like, it looks so trippy, man. It looked so unique when I saw it as a kid. But yeah, let's get started with the deck breakdown. Adhesive Explosive is a weird card. It's kind of like meant to be a deterrent for attacking, but I don't think it's that strong. I think it's fairly powerful, and I think you should absolutely consider it for the deck. I'm kind of wondering if I should be playing 3 of them, or if I should be playing maybe 1 or 2. Maybe a couple of them the side deck. I don't know. We'll see how this works out, but I think I'm going to be having 3 of them in here. And then the effect itself is, before damage calculation, if this card was attacked by an opponent's monster and was in face down defense position at the start of the damage step, equip this card to the attacking monster. Then during your opponent's next standby phase, destroy the monster this card is equipped to. This card can pop basically everything in the set, is what I'm getting at. Then we have Chainsaw Insect. A Chainsaw Insect is a 2.4k beat stick with a massive drawback. If it gets attacked or you attack with it, your opponent draws 1 card. Really big. That's about it. Cyber Barrier Dragon. This is like the defensive rock or paper, whatever you want to call it, in the set, where the set has 3 cards that kinda warp the set around themselves. Those cards being Cyber Barrier Dragon, Cyber Laser Dragon, and a card called Doomdozer, which you may have seen in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! As well. It basically goes that Doomdozer loses against Cyber Barrier Dragon loses against Cyber Laser Dragon, and then Cyber Laser Dragon, well, also loses to Doomdozer. Wait, no, never mind. Cyber Laser Dragon wins against Cyber Barrier Dragon wins against Doomdozer, and Doomdozer wins against Cyber Laser Dragon. Yeah, that's the triangle. That's the weapon triangle here. But we also have other cards which are like wild cards, which come in from the other side, or outside, such as Demise or even arguably Chainsaw Insect. If you would want to, you could think of this as more like maybe a Fate, FGO like type circle, where we have knights, and then we have a separate for cavalry, and then we also have rulers, berserkers, alter egos, avengers, and so on and so forth. But yeah, and then we have Cyber Dragon. Oh yeah, I should probably explain what Cyber Barrier Dragon does first. It can't be normal summoned or set, and has to be special summoned with the attack reflector unit by sacrificing one Cyber Dragon from the field, and then you can special summon it from the deck, which is fairly good. It's fairly useful. Then it has the effect of once, while this card is in attack position, your opponent's next attack is negated. That's irrelevant, like kind of just completely irrelevant. You mostly want this thing just for the 2.8k attack, because most cards in the set don't deal with it. Then we have Cyber Dragon, which you already know. I don't think I need to cover that. Then we have Disciple of the Forbidden Spell. Now, this is one of the cards in the set that deals with basically everything. It's kind of similar to what I was saying about Demise just now, where this card is basically a Berserker from Fate or SGO. You take this thing when your opponent has a Cyber Laser Dragon, a Demise, a Chainsaw Insect, or Doomdozer on the field. You summon it, and then if you have multiple of them in the graveyard, you just call attributes, and you swing into the attributes with this thing, and those things get destroyed. So the effect is, when this card is summoned, declare a different monster card attributes. Declare different monster card attributes equal to the number of Disciple of the Forbidden spells in your graveyard. If this card attacks a monster that has a declared attribute, destroy that monster with this card's effect without applying damage calculation. That's simple as. It's very easy, it's very simple, it's very powerful, and I think this card is either gonna win you the game or just not do anything because of the fact that it takes a while to get going. If it was like number of Disciple of the Forbidden spells +1, this would be insane. And if it was also, it just battles rather than if it attacks. Anyway, Bubbleman, I think we had Bubbleman in the last set too. And Bubbleman is basically just here to fill out the deck. He can draw you 2 cards if you get lucky. He can be special summoned to use for something. I don't think you're going to be special summoning for much, but you can probably try to push for a game with that. He can be useful. Like, that's the main idea. Then we have Wildheart. Wildheart is kind of good, actually, because there's a bunch of cards in here, such as Karma Cut and Super Junior Confrontation, which can completely shit on a lot of cards in your deck. And by having this, you can kind of mitigate that by having Wildheart be... by having Wildheart not get completely destroyed by everything else. By having a monster that doesn't get completely destroyed by Karma Cut side. That was a hard thing to figure out what I was trying to say. But yeah, Wildheart is gonna be a 2k beat stick, actually, using Cyclone Boomerang. I should probably be playing more Cyclone Boomerangs and less maybe less Adhesive Explosive, but whatever. The 1.6k attack, 1.6k defense doesn't really play a part in here, unlike I think it did last set. And the 1.5k attack is also fairly irrelevant because most cards in this deck, in this set, are going to be bigger than that. But the 2k can get over a lot of things, such as Disciple of the Forbidden Spell or Adhesive Explosive. And arguably, if you just play it on the field and your opponent doesn't have a response, it's a 2k beat stick that you can't Karma Cut. That's pretty big. That's pretty good. And then if it does get destroyed by something like, I don't know, Cyber Laser Dragon, you can kind of just pop your opponent's back with it. Yeah. Then we have Proto Cyber Dragon. Proto Cyber Dragon is just Cyber Dragon on the field. It's not great. It's not very, very good, but it's situationally powerful with Attack Reflector unit, and then that's kind of why I'm using it here. Then we have Sand Moth, which is 2k wall. Basic 2k wall that has an effect that if it dies in defense position, you can special summon it, and then it special summon in attack position, and its attack and defense get switched. Cyclone Boomerang. Cyclone Boomerang can only be equipped to Wildheart. It gains 500 attack, and when Wildheart gets destroyed with this equipped, destroy all spells and trap cards on the field. It's pretty good. And it has to be destroyed by card effect, by the way. You cannot just ram it into something and get rid of them. But that's it, yeah. Symbol of Heritage. Activate only while there are 3 monster cards with the same name in your graveyard. Select one more of those monsters, special summon it, and equip it with this card. When this card is destroyed, destroy the equipped monster. This card is a premature burial that requires setup. I would say that this card can be good, because like, we have 3 copies of basically everything in the deck. Other than maybe Proto Cyber Dragon, which I wish was a Cyber Dragon while in the graveyard. That would be perfect. We all talk about attack reflector unit. Then we have the traps that are actually useful for this set. Damage condenser. When you take battle damage, discard 1 card. Spell summon 1 monster from your deck with attack less than or equal to the battle damage you took in attack position. That card can be really powerful. You can get basically anything out from your deck if your opponent is attacking with Chainsaw Insect. That's really good. Then you have Karma Cut. Karma Cut is one of the best removal tools in the game. This early on, I mean. Discard 1 card, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, banish that target. Then banish all cards with the same name as that monster from your opponent's graveyard. That thing is really good, because it fucks this over, for example, and technically would fuck over Cyber Dragon in general. Yeah. Then we have Malfunction. Malfunction has some utility in dealing with Karma Cut in those very specific scenarios where Karma Cut might just completely shit on you. And it's just pay 500 life points and get the activation of a trap and return it to its original position. It doesn't destroy, so it kind of sucks. Super Junior Confrontation. Activate only when your opponent's monster declares an attack. Negate the battle, and 1 monster with the lowest attack in face-up attack position on your opponent's side of the field fights against or battles against one monster with the lowest defense in face-up defense position on your side of the field. After that, the battle phase ends. This card is shit. Like absolutely shit. But it can do stuff if I happen to have like Sandmoth on the field or some other card that can't just get instantly run over, and I can make my opponent's like weaker cards run into it. But yeah, that's about it. And it also has an into battle phase effect. Then we have the side deck, which has Cyber Laser Dragon, which is a 2.4k beat stick that can be almost possible with Photon Generator unit, which has the effect of you have to tribute 2 Cyber Dragons to special summon a Cyber Laser Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. It being from the graveyard is kind of important because this isn't from the graveyard, for example. So you can actually use this multiple times, but the odds of that happening are like significantly lower than an attack reflector unit because it requires 2 rather than 1. Then it has the effect of once per turn, you can destroy 1 monster with attack or defense equal to or higher than. Oh, equal to or higher than the attack or defense equal. Wait, what? It's equal to or higher than? I didn't realize it has to be. Oh my god, I've misread this the whole time. But yeah, you have to destroy a card that's equal to or higher than in attack. With this card. Sorry, take two. Cyber Laser Dragon has the effect of destroying a monster with attack or defense equal to or higher than the attack of this card. There we go. Sorry, I'm having a really hard time speaking right now. Then we have Proto Cyber Dragons again. It's whatever, just completely whatever here. Then we have Demise, King of Armageddon. You can virtual summon this card with End of the World. Makes sense, right? King of Armageddon, yeah, makes sense. You can pay 2,000 life points to destroy all other cards on the field. Demise is a fucking beast, but I don't think we're gonna be seeing it. He's a 2.4k beat stick, which makes him better than Cyber Laser Dragon. He has an effect that is arguably the strongest one that we have so far, but there's a problem, and it's this fucking thing. If your opponent has this fucking thing set, and they pop it after you use the End of the World, you've gone -3 minimum, -3, or maybe, yeah, minimum -3 unless you're playing like a billion copies of Demise himself. And if you do that, then you lose out on Demises. Because if your opponent pops Karma Cut, you just went -4. For him going -3. And that's it. GG. Go next. You lost at that point. Just go next. Then you have more copies of Cyclone Boomerang. Probably self-evident. Then we have the Ritual spell for Demise. Again, self-evident. Just sack level 8 cards, or cards equal to level 8 from your hand or field. Then you have Photon Generator unit. And then you have a Generation Shift, which I have in here specifically to use Symbol of Heritage or pop a proto cyber dragon to get a cyber dragon from the field, from the deck to my hand and special summon it. It's whatever, really. It's not very impactful, but we'll see how this goes. I'm not very confident in this deck overall. I think this is probably gonna be a shit show, but hopefully the games go well. Anyway, good luck.
And welcome back, guys and gals, and here is our deck for today. So as always, let's go through the deck and see what we can do with it. So right off the bat, yeah, we are playing an insect package. I still feel like stuff like Doomdozer and Saber Beetle, as well as Chainsaw, is powerful enough, especially in a set that's not too powerful. And obviously we can also play Demise as a way of, because the one thing when I was making this deck was I have a really hard time dealing with Barrier Dragon, and that's why we are running Demise here, because Demise is our way of actually dealing with that card. So with that being said, let's go through the cards. So we are playing 2 Doomdozer in the main deck, 1 in the side. This is our big payoff card. It's the biggest beater in the set, and it also mills card from your opponent's grave, which doesn't really matter, but you don't really have anything apart from Symbol of Heritage that cares about the grave. Oh, guess Treeborn Frog, but it's not gonna be, it's not the reason why you play it. You play this because it's a big beater. 3 Saber Beetle, this are a premier tribute summon for the deck, a simple 2400 beater that deals piercing damage, is pretty good. And then we have another 2400 insect, which is a normal summonable monster, but unfortunately when this card battles, your opponent draws a card. So there's obviously a big drawback, but I think especially in this set where the power level is much less, I feel like the value of a card like Chainsaw Insect that just big is a lot higher. Then we're playing 3 Gokipon and a single Silent Insect. There are no continuous spells and traps here. The only reason we are playing this is because it's a way for us to get from the 3rd Gokipon into something more. And we're playing these bad insects because obviously just playing Saber Beetle and Chainsaw Insect would make Doomdozer very unreliable, because it needs to banish 2 insects monsters from your grave to summon itself. Sandmoth, unfortunately, is not an insect, but it's a 2000 defense wall, which makes it valuable if it gets popped by something like Demise. And it is interesting, if it's destroyed and sent to a graveyard, it doesn't have to be destroyed by your opponent's effect, which means we can go into Demise. If we have this, we can pop with Demise, and suddenly we have, if we haven't used our battle phase, we have 400 damage on the field, which is actually very valuable. Cyber Dragon, only running 1 in the main deck. I have 2 more in the side. I mostly didn't want to go too overboard with monsters, and yeah, it's a free level 5 we can get on the board if we go second, or if our board is just empty and Jeexx has a monster on the field, which obviously makes it very good. I don't think I have to explain why Cyber Dragon is good. But yeah, only playing 1. Oh yeah, I skimmed over Treeborn Frog, also only playing 1. We have 2 more in this side. I'll be honest, I did not know what to put in the side here. It's mostly just here because if we go into Metamorphosis, so we can Metamorphosis from Doomdozer into our D3S Frog, and we have all the Treeborn Frogs in our grave, then D3S Frog becomes a 4000 attack beater. I don't think it'll happen. I didn't know, really. I only have a couple of cards in the side that I actually care about, so I just threw some random stuff in there. But yeah, Treeborn Frog, it just resummons itself, so we have fodder for Saber Beetle with it. 3 Disciple of the Forbidden Spell. This is actually a pretty decent level 4. When it attacks, when it's summoned, you declare monster card attributes equal to a number of this card's names in your grave, and then when it attacks, if it attacks a monster of the declared attribute, it just immediately gets popped with the effect. And as you can see, all the insects are earths, and then we have stuff like Cyber Dragon, Cyber Barrier Dragon, Cyber Laser Dragon, as well as Disciple itself, that are lights. So this is another way of actually dealing with Cyber Barrier Dragon, which is pretty damn good. And final normal monster, we'll go not the normal ones, but regular monster, I guess. We have is 3 Wild Heart. It's just a level 4, unaffected by trap effects. You've already seen it. We're playing this because we're playing 3 Cyclone Boomerang, which I guess I'll cover here. So it just gives Wild Heart 500 attack, and when Wild Heart gets destroyed by a card effect, then you pop all spells and traps on the field. and burn your opponent for each. This just makes Wildheart a 2000 attack beater, which is pretty damn good. Obviously, there's stuff like Chainsaw Insect that can still deal with, but I still feel like it's valuable enough. And our final monster for the main deck, our, I guess, biggest payoff for the deck is Demise. We have some actually pretty nice ways of getting into Demise, because it being a level 8 means we can go directly from a Doomdozer. We have a decent amount of level 4s, being I think 12. Yeah, 12. We can even go stuff like if we have an extra Saber Beetle and then the Silent Insect that we gotten from the Gogipon. We have a lot of ways actually getting Demise out. It's still very bricky because obviously we need Demise in our hand, we need an End of the World, and then we need the materials for it. But obviously Demise is still pretty big at 2400. It can just wipe the field, so it's just very good. End of the World just summons Demise, very simple. A single Symbol of Heritage. I'm playing a second one in the grave. I don't want to obviously see this early, but I definitely feel like being able to reuse something like Disciple of the Forbidden Spell is very valuable. Even stuff like Saber Beetle, Chainsaw Insect, they're just big, so being able to use them multiple times to maybe get in for damage in a set that's this low power is pretty nice. So yeah, 3 Karma Cut, I explained it in the set breakdown, but I think this is the best card in the set. It just, by discarding a card, you target a face-up monster your opponent controls and banish it, as well as banishing all same name monsters from your opponent's grave. If Jeexx is also playing insects, it's a way of maybe getting rid of some resources for Doomdozer. If he has like Chainsaw Insect on the board and in the grave, or even something like Saber Beetle. And very importantly, it's an incredible way of dealing with Disciple if he already has some Disciples established. And I don't see a world where Jeexx doesn't play this card, so yeah. 3 damage condenser. When you take battle damage, you discard a card and spell summon a monster in attack position that has less attack or equal the battle damage you took. So this is just a way of getting cards out of our deck. We even have stuff like Gogipon and Treeborn Frog that we can essentially always summon. And Treeborn Frog is nice to get into circulation. Gogipon obviously then thins our deck further, getting it to other Gogipon. So this is just a really good way of thinning our deck and getting us to what we need. Maybe even something for Demise. If that was his last attack, then we can just get mats for Demise if we have that established. And then I didn't want to put too many monsters in my main deck. You can see I'm already playing 26. So I literally just went for, okay, what's the least bad back row in the set? And I have a single option Hunter, which I'm running 2 more in the side deck. And this, when a monster you control is destroyed by battle and into the graveyard, you gain life points equal to the original attack of the destroyed monster. So essentially this is only here because I feel like this is going to be a really beat down heavy set. And life totals are going to swing fast. This might be able to buy us a turn more. And then if we establish Demise, then it works as a very like big win more card, where it essentially, like with a lot of these big attack numbers, it gives us 1 more activation of Demise, which probably won't matter. It's mostly just here. It can be used as discard fodder, but also I don't want to constant every game be opening just 5 monsters in my hand. As for the side deck, for the stuff that we haven't covered already, we are running 3 Adhesive Explosive. This is actually a very good defensive card. Before damage calculation, if it was attacked by an opponent's monster and this card was in face down defense position at the start of the damage step, you equip this to the monster that was attacking, and during your opponent's next standby phase, you pop the monster that it is equipped to. So essentially, if we want it to be popped with the effect, we don't then just wait. It goes to our turn, we just do whatever we want, then opponent's turn starts and the monster gets popped. So actually a very good defensive card. I've covered most. 1 Bubble Man. This is essentially just here if I somehow want more monsters, if I end up taking a lot of like insects out and I want some more monsters in, Bubble Man is a decently nice, because if it's the only card in your hand, then it gets you a draw 2 with its effect. 3 Metamorphosis. This is just here so we can go from our level 8 into the 3S Frog if we want to. I don't think it'll happen, so mostly it's here just for the sake of it. And yeah, like I said, the deck feels very iffy but it's gonna be really hard to say like how it actually performs because the power level of the set just feels so much lower. So it'll be interesting to see how it performs. So hopefully you enjoyed the deck breakdowns, and I will see you all in the dueling zone. Peace. What is up, ladies and lads, and welcome to another episode of the Historic Yu-Gi-Oh! Learning Journey. And this time, I almost forgot, Shadow of Infinity? What's the set?
Yeah, I think it's Shadow of Infinity, yes.
It's like, this is a very powerful and very fun set, and we will have lots of fun playing it. Don't you agree, Jeexx?
I think this set is slightly overshadowed by the fact that MU Justice is next. So I think in our infinite wisdom, we should just ignore everything that is Shadow of Infinity and just play on.
Ignore everything Jesus said. Jimmy J. Tran tweeted after 2 years of radio silence. If you know who that is, you're a legend, and props to you. But Jeexx remains a rock thrower.
Jimmy J would have thrown the rock there too, man.
Jimmy J would have gone scissors, actually, I think.
No. He would have thrown the rock and won against the paper.
I would like to note that you do not have an extra deck, so I can already deduce you're not playing frogs, so that's some pretty powerful,
Yeah, I totally remember there was a fusion monster in this set just now. Yes.
It's a very relevant fusion monster as well.
I mean, if you're playing Metamorphosis, I think it's level 8, so you can actually get it out if you use Cyber Laser Dragon or Cyber Barrier Dragon.
Honestly, that's pretty fair. I think I'll actually just start with a normal summon of Chainsaw Insect.
Let's go, baby! Chainsaw Insect, you say?
Would you like some cards?
What if I...
Chainsaw Insect?
I set a monster in defense position.
Ooh. I'll be honest, I don't really remember what kind of stuff there is that you actually want to set. But what I do know is that I would like to tribute my Chainsaw Insect for Saber Beetle. It's the same thing, but it doesn't draw you cards, and it inflicts piercing battle damage.
Oh, I fucking remember that being a level 7.
No, that would make it a bad card.
Oh no.
I remember actually having this card. I think I have this IRL, but yeah, I would like to swing for 24. I'm assuming it's bigger than one. Ooh. So 16?
That's acceptable. Yes.
Main 2, and I'll just pass.
I will go standby main, and I will normal summon
another.
In no way! Spell. Yeah. And I will recall up to the number of Disciple of the Forbidden Spells in my graveyard, and I will call Earth. Correct? This is Earth? That is Earth. I will call Earth. And now when I attack this thing...
when you summon it, I would like to Karma Cut.
Ooh, you Karma Cut it? That's bad.
Yeah, Disciple is a pretty good target to Karma Cut. I would like... Oh, yeah, and... That is, that's a pretty reasonable response. I'm not gonna lie.
That's an instant speed admit defeat. Go next.
I would like to note that you are done siding.
Yes.
I mean, I think I need to think about my siding a little bit because I got so much intel there.
We're going first, yes. Of course, naturally.
Why would you ever go first?
I'm gonna set 2 cards and I pass.
Alrighty. I think... Would it be another one?
Would it be another one?
You tell me if you'd play another one of those, right?
I would totally tell you if I played another one. Right.
Normal Wild Heart?
Yeah, that's fine.
Battle phase. Let's see what this is.
It is a adhesive explosive.
Ooh.
And I will equip it.
And it's during my next standby, right?
During your next standby phase, it will explode.
Gotcha. Let me move it here, since it's equipped.
Yep, I couldn't move it to the spell and trap zone, so.
It's whatever. Let's go main 2, and I will just pass.
I go standby main, and I will. I will normal summon Disciple of the Forbidden Spell.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't particularly matter.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to cash in the extra 200? Yeah.
And what if you just suddenly get a quick play spell that lets you detach it?
Yeah, that's true.
That's scary. You gotta fear every outcome.
That is true. Huh. But it's interesting. I think I'll just set a monster and pass.
Okay. That's kind of bad, actually. I mean, that is.
Why would it be?
I'm gonna body check and take 300.
It is actually a Gokipon.
And now you get to add to your hand Gokipon.
I will add to my hand Gokipon.
Oh my
I mean, I could have added, Silent Insect.
You could have added a Silent Insect. Yes, you're correct.
Then this one, which is Ancient Gear Fortress, doesn't do anything.
My Ancient Gear Castle would have been negated entirely.
I would like to say monster. You have no idea what the monster I said could be.
What?
It could be a Silent Insect.
It could be a Silent Insect. You're correct. I flip summon Elemental Hero Wild Heart.
Yep.
And I will take 500.
Did you say Gokipon?
No.
Let's go look for
How could this be?
a Gokipon.
Then I will attack for 1.7k.
Yep. I will take 1700 and activate Damage Condenser.
Oh no. Are you going to summon Disciple of the Forbidden Spell?
I am going to pitch for cost the Silent Insect.
Oh no, he's gonna set up a Doom Dozer.
And I am going to special summon out a... That's not what I wanted. Yeah.
That's the... Yes.
I click special summon attack, and then I try clicking the zone, and instead that happened. But yes, I will get Disciple.
Then I will choose to set 2 cards. And I will also pass.
That is a lot of back row.
This feels so low energy in comparison to the pre-talk, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, bro, how can you match the potential comeback of the legend, Jimmy J.
Normal Tekken is making a comeback, everybody. We should be hype.
Let's go. Team Fundies. No. Now the question is, what would your back row be? Karma Cut sucks. Damage Condenser would be awkward. I'm forgetting what else is there, honestly. I think what I will do is I will normal summon Chainsaw Insect. Is that okay?
Yes, I will accept this.
Then I will proceed to the battle phase. And I will swing Disciple over Wild Heart for 200. Yep. Anything for the 200?
No, 200? 200?
And yeah, then Chainsaw Insect for 700, and you get to draw.
Yep.
Let's go main 2, and let's just pass.
Rare.
Now, another Disciple.
That's the most unfortunate thing I could have drawn here, I won't lie.
I swear if this is the repeat from last week, but just the other way. Ooh.
We're just gonna do that.
Yeah, so those crash, and both of us draw a card.
Oh my fucking god. I drew my bricks.
What was your back row? Does it do anything?
I had a malfunction that I was gonna activate the turn after, and I had this thing. I didn't see a single Cyber Dragon.
My first
Cyber Dragon.
my hand happened to include Demise and End of the World, and I just happened to have also 8 here as well. So yeah, my next turn would have been kinda gross. Yeah, I drew Boomerang after I played. But yeah, game 1, I can't remember what everything I played. I can't remember the last card in my hand, but I also had Doomdozer in my hand, so I had the way to get it basically turn 2 into Doomdozer if you dealt with my Saber Beetle. So yeah, my draws were fucking insane.
I hit 2 adhesive explosive, which is kind of a bummer because this thing doesn't do anything if you draw it late.
Yeah, you like seeing it early, but you don't want to see really multiple copies. So yeah, essentially, I was playing a lot of insects. I essentially had, I can go into Demise, and Demise is a good card. So my idea with this deck essentially was, let's do stuff so I can summon Doomdozer, because it's good. Let's have Demise there, as Demise was my way, because when you look at this deck minus Demise, Karma Card is my only way of dealing with Barrier Dragon. So essentially it was like, I need some sort of removal, and I was like, okay, I could either play the package where I include Laser Dragon, or I can instead go an extra card and not the extra card, leave 2 extra slots and go for Demise, because I had 2 Sidra in my side, but I was only main decking 1. And I wanted to rather go for Demise, because I felt like Demise does more, although it's harder obviously to get out. Demise does more to everything that isn't Cyber Barrier Dragon. So in case you weren't playing it, then obviously then Laser would have been not as great. So I figured if Demise was more generic, although it was harder obviously to bring out.
I think Demise. Actually, I would argue that Demise is easier to bring out because photon generator unit.
Yeah, easier is hard. It's more costly, but obviously it's harder because you need 2 specific cards. Demise needs obviously only 1 specific card and then level, so it'll probably be more costly. But yeah, it is actually I worded it poorly. Yeah, it is easier.
I think the biggest thing is that you can special summon Cyber Barrier Dragon and Cyber Laser Dragon from the deck, rather than having to have them in your hand.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, that hinges entirely on the fact if you draw any of your Cyber Dragons, which I drew 0 of, and you drew 0 of apparently too.
Yeah, but yeah, I was only playing main deck 1.
Yeah. Oh, you got Treeborn Frog in there too.
Yeah, I was playing a single Treeborn Frog because I figured if I get Sidra later, I can use it as tribute, and if I don't, I can still use it for Saber Beetle. Because I was playing I was playing 3 Karmaka, 3 damage conductor. I think 1. The idea at least was I had 1 option hunter, and then apart from that, I had obviously a couple of equips, 1 Symbol of Heritage, and 3 Cyclone, which I actually think I saw Symbol of Heritage both games really early, even though I was playing only 1, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate how often I drew it too. I pulled it in both games, and I played 2, which makes it more likely for me to get it, of course, but I think the fact that I saw it more often than I saw Cyber Dragons is a little sad, or even Karma Cards.
Yeah. I mean, game 1, the Karma card, absolutely. Even with my hand being as crazy as it was, I think Karma card definitely was such a blowout in that scenario.
Yeah, I just decided that at that point it's impossible for me.
I mean, if your hand wasn't then out, then next turn you would have been staring down Doomdozer and then whatever my last monster was. I can't remember what it was, but yeah. It might have been Sandmoth actually. So that would have done much there, but still 2 of your disciples gone means you can't activate its effect essentially at all anymore, and then at that point you're basically looking for your own karma cuts, or then a way to get barrier on the field, or otherwise Doom Dozer is just gonna keep pounding. So, yeah. I mean, I joked about it early that is this gonna just be a run back off last time, but the other way around, and it definitely felt like that because like the second game, like my draws weren't as crazy, but they were still really good. But like game one, I basically drew perfect, I think.
Yeah, I think overall these games were heavily slanted towards your side.
Yeah, that for sure.
But I think I could have had a better time if I just stuck with it for a bit longer. But I figured, oh, this is gonna either go into a situation where I get run down in 2 turns, or I somehow pull off 2 karma cuts in a row.
I mean, yeah. If essentially that game, like if your draw wasn't like exactly karma cut, or you had side in your, you had a way to get barrier on the field immediately. I don't know what you could have done there even.
I mean, in the second game, I had barrier. I could have got barrier out if I only had pulled Cyber Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, in this game, yeah. Oof. But I mean, even if we got that, I had the demise for that too. So at that point, so I just drew crazy. But I mean, these past 2 episodes have definitely displayed how this is how Yu-Gi-Oh is sometimes, and
sometimes the sets are bad.
Yes, sometimes the sets are very bad, and when the set is bad, and it definitely feels like when the set like overall power level is much lower, which I feel like this is, then it becomes usually hey, breaking is gonna be a really big problem, and if there happens to be a situation like this where one side really breaks and the other side draws the nuts, then those games are gonna feel awful to play.
Yeah, I think next set is gonna be better.
It's Enemy of Justice.
Yeah, and Enemy of Justice has
hero.
Every single elemental hero.
Yeah, I was peeping a little bit at that, and I'll be honest. There is a pretty good chance that we're gonna be playing a hero mirror, because when I was looking through that, to be fair though, it was like I looked at it for like 5 minutes, briefly just went through it, so chances are that I missed some pretty obvious stuff. If there is something there, I'll try to find it, because I think mirror matches can be fun, but I think like it's better for like it's more enjoyable if you don't have to watch mirror matches, but it's not too bad if they come up every once in a while. So if there's literally like nothing but scraps, unless you're playing heroes, then there's a good chance that we're getting our first hero mirror next time.
I mean, we can play a mirror of a quote-unquote mirror of Destiny heroes and elemental heroes.
True. There was Diamond Dude, Captain Tenacious, and Red Master and
Doomlord.
Oh yeah, Doomlord is there too. Yeah. True.
Dreadmaster being your wing con, basically.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, because like, I mean,
Clock Tower Prison is your wing con.
Yeah, and with that Dreadmaster, but I mean, apart from the others, like Doomlord can do something. Captain Tenacious is dog shit, and then obviously Diamond Dude is Diamond Dude, but.
Oh no, but like what we need to think about is actually Clock Tower Prison, because Clock Tower Prison has the same effect as basically Waboku, where you can't take any battle damage if you have 4 or more counters on it.
Yeah,
and if it doesn't get destroyed, you don't get Dreadmaster.
Yeah.
So
it's essentially they're gonna turn it just stand still. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to think about that a bit.
Yeah, we definitely gotta figure that out for sure, but. I would very much assume that it's. I would almost willing to bet on that it's definitely gonna be more interesting than these past 2 episodes. These have been some pretty underwhelming. I mean, last time it was definitely because I just played really poorly, but It is.
Don't worry, I literally scooped on turn 2. Like this is the closest to modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I felt like it's been in a while. You
That's
just gotta
fair.
like, oh yeah, I can't do anything.
Fast
I gotta go
forward 2
next.
years, and this is just gonna, without the scooping, be the actual result of games.
Yeah.
But
I can't wait.
it's gonna be fun. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how stuff develops when we go forth, but yeah, if we ever get to the point where everything is turning, everything is ending in 1 to 2 turns, then that's when we reach the point where Yu-Gi-Oh! Died. Sag. But anyways, thank you for watching this episode, and it's been a couple very rapid games these past 2 episodes, but like I said, hopefully next time we'll have a little bit of a more interesting episode. But with all that being said, we hope to see you then, and have a good one, y'all. Peace.